with the objective of empowering women and girls to pursue justice in an environment that serves their needs, guiding women to be in a position to demand justice, and mobilizing decision makers to make women and girls' rights effective. A consortium of 4 civil society players is making positive efforts in a project dubbed FATE, From Access to Equality. We highlight the impact of their intervention in Uganda. Uganda, a country rich with cultural heritage and a diverse population, has over the years recognized the importance of promoting rights of women, considering their significant presence in the population.
We have moved tremendously in the last 40 years. And you can see it in terms of the activism, the agency at personal level. The younger women today speak up more than we did in my generation. We can't also deny the fact that women have moved from the traditional domestic sphere into the public sphere.
Increasingly over the years, we've seen a change, a shift in terms of policy direction towards more equality, more inclusion of women, more engagement of women in discussions politically, economically, socially, more inclusivity of women in decision-making processes.
The government has shown a very, very positive attitude towards affirming its interest in gender equality in Uganda. If you start with our constitution, it is a very progressive constitution. It recognizes equality and, of course, freedom from discrimination based on sex, gender, and all of that. But there are also very particular articles within the constitution beyond the affirmative action that we all know, that aim towards uplifting women or taking into account the very, very deep patriarchal history or the challenges that women faced.
These policies, together with the significant role of civil society in advocacy, capacity building, legal aid, and research, among others, have provided an upward trajectory in the fight for women and girls' rights in Uganda. Despite the policies, laws, and all interventions by government and non-government organizations, it's important to note that the challenges still exist.
And I think the most interesting part is to look at its implementation. Are women able to leverage from the positive attributes that we have in our laws and policies? You
see examples of we're having very many women in leadership, but we're not seeing the tangible benefits. You're having many girls going to school, but high levels of unemployment. Many don't have the agency and are stay-home moms. They earn money, but they can't make decision over that money. So all those backlashes are happening. Now the challenge there is when that boundary is overstepped, that is when abuse happens. Abuse, violence, domestic violence comes in, depossession of widows from their land and property rights, sexual violence comes in.
So the key question is, are they able to access justice? Can they access a court of law? No. And why? It is because a number of factors constrain their ability to access justice. One of it is economic. The majority of our women, like we've said, depend on land as a factor of production. But also the majority of our households are still very patriarchal. So all the resources are controlled by men. That means the mere means of just transport to access formal justice is very difficult.
And that's why we have programs, we have projects to try and bridge the gap that government is not able to do in terms of providing access to justice.
These initiatives have aimed at empowering women and girls to pursue justice in environments that serve their needs. One of such initiatives is FATE, an abbreviation to mean from access to equality. The Uganda Women Network, Barefoot Law, and Penal Reform International, under the leadership of Avocats Sans Frontiers, have come together with the objective of empowering women and girls to pursue justice in an environment that serves their needs.
Each of these partners, including ASF, who leads the consortium, have a lot of specialization in the key areas. So this program is built in such a way that each partner brings on board their specialization that in the end enables us achieve the broad goal. For example, ASF works with a number of community-based mediators who are placed deep within the communities. And these are able to act or they work as our ears and eyes on the ground, and then also supports a number of civil society organizations through grants for them to be able to provide legal aid.
As Uganda Women's Network, issues of access to justice for the last 30 years since UWONET was formed has been at the center of our work. We are building on what we have already been doing in regard to violence against women.
Barefoot Law has been around for just over 10 years now. What we do is provide legal information and awareness to the general public in order to help them resolve their legal problems. Outwards of 90% of the people we survey, and this is the same for both rural and urban areas, have got limited knowledge of the law, have got limited knowledge of how to resolve their legal problems. So we got technology as a way. It is a major tool that we use in order to, number one, reduce the cost of sharing legal information, but then also increase the outcomes that can be gotten through technology.
For PRI, our interest is to use an intersectional approach in gender equality responses. Intersectionality will allow us to look at these particular vulnerabilities of people, of the different groups of women, because not all the women are the same. Experiences would determine they could either worsen your vulnerability or even worsen your abuse and discrimination and violence.
Through various activities and engagements by FATE project partners, there has been momentum created towards empowerment of women and girls to pursue justice in an environment that serves their needs.
So we have several interventions under this project where we try to enhance the knowledge levels of these women. If your right is violated, what next? Where do you go? Who do you run to? And what do you expect at the different service centers that you approach? Basically, our interventions are derived from the cases registered at the advisory centers. When you look at the register book, you'll be able to tell that there are so many succession cases, there are so many land disputes, so that always informs our area of discussion when we reach out to these communities. And then we also realize that our women, looking at the fact that the education levels are always low, that even when they know that they are supposed to go to court, she may not have the courage to run to court. So their immediate options are the social circles within the communities where they live. They will run to their religious leaders, they will run to culture leaders, or even clan leaders. So that's why you realize that among our other interventions, we have the dialogues with the informal justice actors, where we bring religious leaders, cultural leaders on board. We also engage district leaders, special councillors, because we realize that these have the mandate to pass laws and ordinances at the district level. So we also do training for such women to empower them to advocate for gender-sensitive policies at district level.
Then the survivors, how do we deal with them when they are in this situation? By providing counseling, by providing legal aid, by providing representation. And ultimately, there are those who are really vulnerable by providing temporal shelter. Then also looking at the economic empowerment aspect. Our studies have shown that over 80% of the women who find themselves in the vicious circle of abuse are economically dependent. So what we do is, for those who we've been able to access and who have accessed our services, we want them to go back better by ensuring that you give them some basic skills so that when they go back, they are not going back into the vicious circle of poverty. So economic empowerment has been very instrumental. And then lastly is coordinating with our mother ministry, Ministry of Gender. How do we coordinate, both from the district level, the gender officer, the development officers, and the national level? So with that, you're able to provide a holistic package in terms of access to justice.
The project has enabled the revamping of the GBV advisory centers and shelters, both in Kamuli and Namutumba districts in eastern Uganda. This endeavor has seen increased access to justice for women and girls, as evidenced by the increase in the number of women and men seeking services through advisory centers.
So we have many women who work in child neglect is like child neglect. Many women have been left with kids to take care of. They don't have anything. Common cases that we receive is child neglect, land-related cases, conflicts, especially succession-related cases. And our office has been able to receive them. We've used more so a DRA method to handle these cases, and we've been successful. We've settled these cases. We've tried to teach people the law. We've carried out so many sensitizations in communities. We've carried out so many dialogues. We've trained community structures. We've trained even the people for sustainability purposes. We've formed groups, the ones we call survivor support groups. People who have gone through our office and they feel now they are doing better. We get referrals from those very people because they walk out saying, walk to UWONET because UWONET will support you, because just the woman you've met at office, there were two women. One was the one we had helped before, and the other one is the one who had escorted one. So they are our structures in communities. They keep referring. We also have paralegals that we train that are also our community eyes when we are not there. We have these survivor support groups, as I said. They are the ones who are supporting us to refer most of these cases. But we also work very closely with stakeholders.
Obuzibu bunali nabwo nafuirwa omusaada 27 wabitawo okw'emyaka ngo oba ebiri kwesatu awo mulamu wange yajja yalima itaka lyona yalimalako eribampa yakoba ati wano wazira kikyo tewaida na itaka
bana kike kyaife kwasuni yaife yakoba nti omusaada gafwa omukasi alina okuba mu itaka lya akumira abaana be kyenakola nawo ne balwa namusindika wa DCCD amweta CDO kale yene yagezaako okumusindika ewaimwe nga biremye.
Nze saadi no nebaza ekitongole kya UWONET ekyanamba ekyandwanirira ebizibu byange nkyebaza ino kuba banamba ino obuzibu obunali nabwo ku itaka lino nga n'okwida ku itaka lino okulimirako nga tibenda nkole ki ndide mu itaka muno nimiremu. Kale nebaza ekitongole ekyo kyandwanirira kyasobola okunkolera ku nsonga dange era esaawa eno namuwangula eitaka ndi likozesa.
Naddala ife muno tukoseibwa ino ng'abakyala bw'ofiirwa omusaada ab'ekika batera okulowooza nti omusaada afiire pega nayo tokaali wa mugaso. Eddembe lya nnamwandu, eddembe ly'abaana, ebyobusika n'ebyobugaiga eby'omugenzi batera okubyegwandiza. Kale eyo tuyamba ku bannaife okutegeera nti balina eddembe lyaibwe, okutegeera amateeka, iteeka likoba ki ku byobusika, ku by'eitaka, ku by'obugaiga, n'abaana bavunaanyizibwa kufuna ki ku by'obugaiga bya baba waibwe ng'afiire.